Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk, and this time I'm in Hampshire. I think I'm in Hampshire. I'm down on the New Forest, which is very exciting because I've come to meet up with Dave Ford, who's going to take me to some very interesting Second World War exhibits, exactly, historic
bits of evidence.
Bits of evidence. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
So yes, we are on the New Forest. What part of the New Forest are we?
We're in the northwest corner of the New Forest, a place called Ashley Walk, to be precise. The nearest well-known town would be Fordingbridge, which would be about 3 miles in that direction to the west.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And we're going to start walking. We've got a little New Forest pony next to us, which is looking very beautiful. Yeah. But what is the reason that we've come to, or the reason you've dragged me over to the New Forest?
Well, apart from hopefully a nice walk, there's a lot of history to this area. During the Second World War, approximately 5,000 acres of the area was set aside and was effectively used as a bombing range. At the outbreak of the Second World War, the technology that the RAF had for dropping bombs hadn't really changed that much from the end of the First World War. So there was a lot of catching up to do with the Germans.
And the Germans, of course, they sort of had this inkling they were going to be going to war, so they'd already been doing a lot of
this. That's right, yes. And so the Ministry of Defence effectively needed an area of land that was uninhabited, that wasn't too far away from, say, RAF Boscombe. And this area was chosen. You're talking about 5,000 acres in total.
Right.
And they built a 6-foot chain link fence all the way around. The fence was about 9 miles long.
Gosh.
There were something like 13 gates, but only really 2 or 3 of them were ever used. And the little sort of track that we're walking down now was the main track into the range. It took them about 2 months to clear the area of all the ponies and cattle before they could start using it, basically.
And the thing is, I mean, I don't suppose in the last 75, 78 years, whatever it is, it's changed terribly much. This is the New Forest, and if I just swing the camera around, you can see there's some cattle up there, and as you drive through, there's loads of horses. So trying to find all of the animals, get those off, must have been quite an ordeal for a few sappers or whoever it was.
Well, they do have a thing called the New Forest Drift every year. So all these ponies and cattle that you see sort of loose, they're owned by commoners, and once or twice a year they will sort of round them up anyway. So to check they're healthy and what have you. So it wasn't
impossible.
Too hard,
yes.
But at the same point, this is a lovely time of year to walk this area. The heathers at the moment, with their purple coming out now,
it is gorgeous, isn't it?
Yes,
absolutely. And the thing is, it's that explanation of forest that people get very confused about. They think of a forest meaning just trees, and of course that's not. It stems from a French word, doesn't it, forest?
Well, I'll take your word for that. But this, when you think of forest, a lot of people think,
just woodland.
But you've got a big mixture here. Obviously this is very open and heathland, but later on the walk we will be in some pretty thick forest.
Yes. So although it is very open and it's sort of what would you describe it as, heathland, really, isn't it? It's heathland. That's all part of what a forest would have been. So anyway, what's our first thing that you're going to take me to, Dave?
Well, we're going to carry along down this little track. The track itself is called Snake Road. I think purely because it looks like a snake more than anything else.
Snakes along, yes.
It's actually in quite good condition. So they refurbished it about a year ago because it was starting to break up. So that's why it looks quite nice and new. But we're going to head up to the ridge up at the top to have a look at the first evidence of our first target of the day.
Right.
And there's a little bit of something that we can see.
Okay. Well, let's not give the game away too much. We'll press on and we'll join you in a mo. Well, Dave, I'm not quite sure where you've taken me. We've come off the main path, off Snake Road.
Snake Road, yeah.
And we've come into a whole load of bracken and gorse by the looks of things, and some heather. But you assure me that our first port of call, the what did you call it?
Well, this is called the ship target.
The ship target.
Bit of
Okay.
evidence. We're actually on a top of a ridge.
Yes, we actually, just before you say any more, let me just show the ridge so people get an idea. We've just climbed a bit, and here we go. You can see in the distance that Snake Road going back up to the car park. And if I just pan a little bit round like this, you'll see the expanse of this northern part of the New Forest, which is, if you've never been here, you know, it's a huge expanse of ground. And then here's Dave with his stick and his flat cap, looking absolutely rural and dapper.
Well, I thought I'd put the hat on with the sun. We've got a lovely day today. So this is the first bit of evidence.
I'll just get a shot. I'll just show everybody what it is, and then
this is the foundations of what was known as the ship's target. So you're going to have to use imagination here. There would have been sheet metal, sort of rectangular shape, 40 foot long, 20 foot high, and about half an inch thick.
And this is replicating the hull of a ship.
Correct, yeah. And it would have been held up by iron bars sort of poking back into foundations here. And if you can look closely, you can still see the little bits of metal.
That's the nuts and bolts, effectively, that would have been holding onto it. How amazing.
And similarly, there's a sort of iron sticking up bits here as well. It was used to test the effectiveness of 20mm and 40mm cannon, and also these 6-pound rockets from the Mosquito planes, and they would have come in from that direction.
From the north, I suppose, is it?
Yeah. Again, at the end of the war, it would have been easy enough just to take the metal away, but they left the foundations. And here it is 75 years later. It'll gradually get all overgrown, and I say we're slightly off the beaten path, so no one would hear. But
so planes would have come down and aimed their things, and this went on through the whole period of the war.
That's right. When it comes to the sort of explosive, they were never allowed to use any incendiary bombs for obvious reasons, because
it's a
heather was so. So a lot of the bombs, they were either sort of what are called normal bombs. There were water tanks floating around the place if anything did catch light, and inert bombs. In other words, they were trying just to test the effectiveness of how accurate they were.
Yes.
But this particular target would have been purely used for, say, cannon fire.
Right.
So it was that really was practice for the pilots.
Yes. Oh, and you know, it was essential work, and presumably the weaponry that they're using is improving all the time as the war is progressing, and so that's why they're continually needing this sort of
That's right.
place
the change that took place in that 6 years was extraordinary.
Yes.
Later on, we're going to see some incredible craters and what have you that 6 years previously you wouldn't have even thought about it.
You wouldn't have thought possible.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Dave, this is fantastic.
Yep.
So this is just the first of our little forays, shall we say, into the New Forest. This one's been great. We'll pause here on this video, so you'll have to wait for the next one. Join us again in our second exploration at the targets of the Second World War here at the New Forest. Dave, thank you so much for taking me on this one.
Yep.
Where are you going to take me on the next one?
Well, we're going to see some wall targets where they used to do practicing of the bouncing bombs. That's the next one.
Fantastic. Something definitely to look forward to. I'm looking forward to that. So join us then. Till that time, bye-bye.